we are going to dive deeper into the scriptures to see what this is. Now, this is not a very easy class to teach, even for me. It's not a very easy class to teach this day 37, because you'll see what I mean. If you've read the book, you'll be able to understand what we're talking about today. So today the theme is refined as gold. Refined as gold. And we have just one major passage we're going to be looking at this morning, and that is from the book of 1 Peter chapter 1 verses 3 to 7. 1 Peter chapter 1 verses 3 to 7. Beteru, like Yoruba speakers will call it. Now, we talk about refined by fire, refined by fire. When you hear things like that, you think of pressure. Okay, pressure. So the purpose of pressure, that is what we're talking about today. Okay, we all believe that God refines us. Then today we're going to be introducing you to the refiner. We'll introduce you to the refining environment, to the grind, to the heat. So what is this all about? And that's why I said it's not a very easy class to teach, because it's going to be telling us to submit ourselves to pressure. In the book of 1 Peter that I just talked about right now, 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 3 to 7, I'm going to go ahead and read those few verses. It said, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ." I mean, that's an exclamation. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, God's great mercy, he has given us a new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. You can rewind it. Jesus resurrected from the dead. Jesus died, resurrected, and we now have a new hope. So that's how you can reverse it. And it goes on in verse 1 by saying, "And after giving birth to us into this new hope and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade." I'll be talking to you about those three things: never perish, spoil, or fade. This inheritance is kept in heaven for you, and of course for me also, who through faith are shielded. Now, I want you to take note of those words. We're talking about shield now. We're talking about spoil, talking about perish, talking about fade, talking about inheritance. When you read passages like this, take note of the words that are used. Okay, we are being shielded by God's power until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. This short part is what we call in theology already but not yet. Already but not yet. In other words, you are saved but not saved. Okay, even right now, the Bible says that we are seated with Jesus on his throne. Really? Yes, but we are here. All right. So Bible said that this inheritance is kept in heaven for you, who through faith are shielded by God's power until the coming of the salvation. I thought we were saved. Yes, we are saved already, but not yet. Until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. In all this, you greatly rejoice. Though now, for a little while, for a little while, you may have had to suffer grief. I want you to take note of that word. Suffer grief in all kinds of trial. All kinds of trial. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of far greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, result in glory, in honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. It started very hopeful, joyful, then boom, it takes us down to gold. He said, we are our faith, even though way more than gold. So in the act of becoming that we've been talking about for the past month right now, in this act of becoming, many times I do this, what I do. Yesterday, I took a 2-hour prayer walk. We often pray for the outcome. That's maturity. God, this is what I want to become in this becoming. As we are doing that, while we are protesting in the process of trial. So in other words, and I say it's very difficult because I want to become. I want God to use me. I want to do great things. I want to emerge. I want to, all these things. But with protest, I don't want to go through. I don't want to go through trials. I don't want to go through the process. I don't want to go through anything negative. In other words, it's like someone said, I want to have a first class, but is it possible if I don't read, if I don't take any exam, if I don't come to class, can I just get it? That is how our prayers probably sounds to God many, many times. So, but however, when we just look at this passage I just read, that reminds us that the heaviness that we feel, that heaviness, that pressure that we feel, is not a sign of God's abandonment. God is not leaving us, but rather, in my own words here, it's not God's abandonment, but it is of his investment. So, and it's hard to believe. Okay, it's hard to believe, especially when you are going through the grind. That, oh, this grind, God is investing in you. But God, I'm going through trials. God said, that's my investment so that you can come out. But God, can't I come out any other way? Like Jesus Christ prayed. He said, Father, if it's possible, take this cup away. Listen, I'm willing to glorify you, but what about this cup? And that is how it feels. And that's why I tell you, it is not an easy concept to want to imbibe. So let's look at goldsmith, or people who work in the smith, like Yoruba call them alagbede. You see them, they are working with fire, and they are able to melt iron and so many things. So goldsmiths, they don't just they don't put lead in the fire. Okay, it's not lead. They only put gold inside the fire. Okay, goldsmiths don't put lead, because that's what they are. They are goldsmith. They are not leadsmith. So goldsmiths, what they put in fire, but gold is precious. Yes, gold is precious, but putting in fire makes it even much more precious. Okay, is there no way to make gold precious without going through fire? Unfortunately, none. That is the irony of it. That is the paradox of what we're talking about here. And the Bible is filled with so many paradoxes. For you to go to heaven, for you to grow, you have to die. Okay, for you to be elevated, you have to be humble, and so many, like for you to, you have to. So that is it. If you want to shine, then you have to go through the grind. So if you are in a furnace right now, many of us might be in a furnace. When I say furnace, I mean the furnace of life, where things are not adding up. I believe that this message is for you and for me also. So, what is your furnace today? It's possible that furnace is because God has seen something immensely valuable in you and me. When you see gold in its raw form, it's called a nugget. It's not shiny like people would think it is. It is covered, it is mixed. It's an alloy of so many things. For you to bring the gold out, you have to put it through heat to take away all the other things that that mix up with it. So could that be the reason why we go through some trials? Could that be the reason why? I mean, I'm not saying that every trial is to bring out the best in you. Some trials are just self-inflicted. But the Bible talks about God allows, when God allows the trials. And I just say, every trial, actually, I take my word back. Every trial is to make us better. So linguistically, when we look at the words that are used, and that's why I said you should take note of some of those words. We'll look at, if you want to do what they call exegesis. Exegesis is to draw meaning out from the Bible. You exegese the Bible. The opposite is eisegesis. Eisegesis is to force meaning into the Bible. In other words, to make the Bible say what it never intended to say to the original hearers. And in our religious world, many people today, they practice eisegesis more than exegesis, especially our Pentecostal brothers. They just want to make the Bible say something else. But because when the Bible speaks, what it says is plain. All right. So think about the inheritance. They talk about inheritance. They talk about imperishable. Those are some words. When we do exegesis, we go to the cultural meaning of that word. We go to the linguistic of that word, we go to even the environment, because what is said in one environment might mean something in another environment. It might be said, the same thing might actually be said. That's why we when we are learning Yoruba language, we say taloso, talasosi. We need to know who said it, who was it said to, on what condition was it said. So look at what Peter said. Peter said, and into an inheritance that never perishes, spoil, or fade. This inheritance is kept in heaven for you. So what is Peter saying here? Peter begins by grounding. That's what I want to use. It's an electrical word, to ground, to earth. It was trying to earth our identity as in a living hope. In a hope that is alive, not a renewed hope. A hope that's very funny, right? A living hope, a hope that is alive, a hope that can breathe, a hope that can move. So if something is living, you think about the characteristics of living thing. That means it's not it's not dead, it's not rotten, it's alive. So he uses these three specific Greek words in Greek, to actually describe this inheritance. When he talks about imperishable, he uses the word. I won't bother you with what the word says in Greek, but he uses the word imperishable. He uses the word undefiled. If you look at that's what those words was made. That will never perish, imperishable or spoil. It can never be defiled. When something is defiled, is spoiled, or it can never fade, is unfading. So our hope, the living hope kept in heaven, is imperishable. That is, it cannot decay. That's another word for it. It is undefiled, and it cannot fade. Think about things that fade around you. Clothing fade, colors will fade. Food will become defiled, and many things that we use will perish eventually. Will perish. So contextually, Peter chose this because they are living in the Roman world. You see, in the Roman world, when I talk about inheritance, right? Inheritance were often lost. People will lose inheritance. How they lose it? Through war. People lose their hair, just like the Hausa community in Nigeria have lost a lot of their inheritance in Nigeria here through the Fulanis. That is a known fact, but that is again the reason why they don't want you to study history in school. Then people can lose their inheritance through, sometimes can be legal disputes, dispute. They can fight over it, and when you fight over it, somebody might win and you will lose. Then thirdly, somebody can lose his inheritance through physical decay. Thinking about it right now, I just remember one of the things that my dad left for me in his will. In fact, it just dawned on me yesterday, really, and it's interesting we're talking about this. Myself and my brothers were talking about our father's properties, and my brother literally was reading out the will. I've never read that will until since the day I had it read at the probate. Yesterday was the second time I was hearing that will again. I was like, wait a minute, that's true. My dad actually left me a Honda generator. A Honda generator. That was both brand new. It was kept in the village for such a long time. Brown, strong Honda, until the piston and the case, became worn. So you cannot pull it anymore. I would try doing it. If I gave it to one mechanic, whatever, and they couldn't. They had to burn it out. What did I do? Eventually, I gave it out. I gave it away. So that was my inheritance, because it spoiled. So inheritance can be lost also. So think about it. When Peter began to talk about this thing about inheritance, that it can be lost. So people knew that any inheritance is not guaranteed. It can be lost in war. It can be lost through legal battle. It can physically decay. One of the houses myself and my brother inherited in the village, we're going to pull that house down. That house was built in the 70s and is decaying. So, so that's an inheritance, but those things can go. So Peter now used that to contrast you look at the inheritance that's in heaven, to look at a word, fragile, like I say, fragility, if that's a good English word, the fragility of the earthly wealth that we have. So what did God do? God shields us. So with the shielded, you now say, you see, this is the earthly inheritance. Look at the this is the earthly inheritance, the heavenly inheritance. So what God shields us. So that is a word that is used when the soldiers are fighting. Okay, when they are throwing their arrows, they form the Roman garrison, they will form a shield. All of them will hold their shield around themselves. Then the ones in between will hold it up, so it becomes like a block that nobody can penetrate. So, excuse me. So that word is a military term that I use. Excuse me, I need to take a sip. All right, I should have taken that sip earlier on. So this is the nature of our spiritual destiny. God will not allow it to decay. God will not allow it to do this, to be that, because he puts a shield so that all these things coming will not. So let's look at that about the proof that God has given us. In verse 7, he said, these have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, a greater word than gold, which perishes, even though refined by fire, may result in praise. Three things again: result in praise, in glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Just like we look at those three things that I talk about. It can never fade, can never spoil, it can never perish. So the Bible says that Jesus shields all of these things. So these have come so that the improving genuineness of our faith, more greater than gold, even though gold perishes, even though it goes through fire, may result in praise, in glory, in honor when Jesus Christ is revealed to every one of us. So, proven genuineness. For something to be proven genuine, it has to go through tests. I remember in those days when we were growing up, I grew up hearing about counter. I didn't know what that meant. Apparently, it became a short form for a longer word. In those days, when you are paid the penny, okay, that's what they call it, penny. Then in Yoruba word, there's no word like penny, so it become ekpini. If you get ekpini, pen. So when you, and especially that one that has hole in between, that has star and have hole, how do you know whether it's genuine? You put it in your teeth. If it can bend, then it is fake. And sometimes we will see one that it is not, the print is not very, very sharp. It's not very, very sharp. My mother will say, that is counter. So I grew up saying, this is counter. It was later on in my life, I found out that it's actually counterfeits. It's counterfeits. In the same way too, you can bring out money today. If you bring a Nigerian currency, which I wish I had, because I don't plan to say all these things that I'm saying. If I knew I was going to say that, I would have brought another notes. If you take a look at it, you will look at the thread. Those are things that you do. There's a thread there. If you put it under mercury light, you're going to see the number. It's been years I've done this, so I can't remember how it goes. Then it has a particular shape, a particular size. Then if you put it in water, there is a particular paper they use in doing it. And there are many things that you can look at. If you take Nigerian notes, now my mind is going to, do you have any Nigerian notes? If you take any Nigerian notes like this and fold it together this way, the print goes exactly the same. It's symmetrical. It's as if they printed it folded, they printed it this way, because you will not see it links up. The drawing, the line, everything links up. Those are the ways. So for your faith to be proven genuine, for your faith to be proven of our word, it also has to go through this testing. That is what Peter is saying here. That's the process. So this ancient word, it was the technical term they actually used for the process of testing metal in metallurgy, or alchemists. The alchemists know how to do it. People who put two metals together. So that is the same word, genuineness. It's the same word. So Peter have used words they use in family, inheritance, and in society. He has used words they use in the military. He also is now using words that he used in iron smelting. in gold, in refining. So it's a process of testing a material. So what's that process? A goldsmith will melt the metal until it reaches liquid state. It puts it into the heat until it practically melts. So as the impurities, or what they call the dross, the dross, the dross will not come to the surface. When the dross comes to surface, you see the dross is like, it still looks like gold, but it's like shaft and everything. Then they will not scoop them away. They will not remove them. So for the dross to come out, then the metal has to get to that liquid state, has to go to that very hot state to expose the dross. And guess what? That is what happens to us. It is pressure that reveals our true self. Like we normally say, if you squeeze orange juice will come out. If you squeeze apple juice will come out. So when you are squeezed, what comes out is what is inside you. So there is no thing like saying, oh, he made me do it. He made me say it. What did they do? He squeezed you a bit, just more squeeze. And that was what I did. This illustration is what I used for my Muslim friends 2 weeks ago when we were doing our the debates. And I literally squeezed that guy, and his true self came out, his arrogant self came out. And I said, when I was doing apologetics with you, you were calm, Abby. Apologetics is giving you a reason. This is why I believe what I believe. Okay, my PhD is in apologetics. I know how to do apologetics. So apologetics is, Paul said you should be able to give a reason for what you believe in. And I flipped it to polemics. From a place of polemics is going on the attack. It's going on the squeeze. Now, rather than defending my faith, and I began to expose his own faith, and boom, he now became. In fact, the last time I spoke to one of them, I gave him something to go and watch. I said, don't say anything until you watch it. It's been almost 1 week right now. He hasn't come out to say anything because there's no way he's going to watch that video. He will not be convicted in his heart. So Paul knew that gold was pure. Just like a refiner. The gold was pure. Now he could see only his reflection. That is when they are pure. When you look at gold, when it's pure, you will be able to see your own reflection. So in other words, when I go through trials, when I go through the smelting furnace, every single thing, God takes me through it so that he can see himself in me. That is the act of becoming. Does it make any sense? So when God takes us like a refiner, God takes me and you through the pressure until all the negatives come out, until all the bad things come out, until God can see himself. That is how, in those days, that's how a goldsmith will know that this gold is pure when they can see their reflection in the gold. So what is the implication for all of us? The implication, obviously, that God will allow the heat of life. It will allow it to come, but not to destroy us. God will allow the heat of life, to come to us, not to destroy us, but rather to bring out our impurities to the surface. So when we go to the grind, our nature, our sinful nature comes out, just like Paul told the Corinthian church, so that they cannot deal with it. God cannot deal with all those things, so that it can be removed, allowing the image of Christ to now reflect in all of us. So that is the reason why all those things go. It's like a parent disciplining his child, and the child is thinking that, oh, my mommy doesn't love me, or my dad doesn't love me, or denying whatever, until the good nature now comes out. Then the parent cannot see themselves and say, you are a good boy, you have done very well. So there's a need to get to this level. In verse 6 it says, in all this you greatly rejoice. So all these trials, right? Temptation, that's what's going to happen. In all this you greatly rejoice. Not now for a little while you may have to suffer grief in all kinds of trial. So Bible says that you are going to rejoice at the end of the day. It's like a child who have been denied of playing too much, who have been denied of staying up late on television, who have been denied of so many things, so that they can focus on their book. And when the child focuses on their book, sometimes can be reluctant, it can be grudgingly, can be whatever. They focus on their book, goes to the exam, they pass, they come out, they are happy. The parent is happy. The child also is happy. Everybody is happy. So Bible says that in all this you greatly rejoice. Though for now you might have to go through you might suffer grief. What is grief? I did a course a counseling course in my when I was in seminary, and it was on grief counseling. Okay, it's a very, very important counseling. So when we talk about grief, words that come to mind would be like sorrow, like heartache, anguish, pain, or loss. So maybe now you are grieving. Grieving is not just when somebody dies. When you lose anything that is dear to you, you grieve. If you lose money, you will grieve. If you lose your accommodation, you will grieve. If you lose a contract, you grieve. If you anything so right now you grieve. Bible said that you might be grieving as some of the pain, some of the exposure, some of the embarrassment, every single thing, but you are going to rejoice eventually. So Peter said, if need be, if God has to do it, you have been grieved by various trials. So those trials comes, we are grieved by them. So this also suggests that trials are not just random. Trials in biblical form, let us things that happen to you. They don't just happen. They are positioned. If there's a need, if need be, if you look at people like us will try to look at the Greek word, is Deon, D-E-O-N. That is if need be. Okay, so God will bring it. There's a need. God will allow those trials in your life. So those trials are not random. They are for a purpose. No matter how difficult that they are right now, the purpose. And it's very sad, to think about it. Sometimes, it's like waiting for let's say a parcel. You know how you're whatever. Sometimes I'll say, God, I know you promised me this, you promised me that, whatever. But can you at least show me the tracking number so I can track it? But God doesn't do that. So the tracking number that we have is faith. God said, just believe. Well, but God said, God, you said you will never leave me nor forsake me. God said, I say so. God said, you say I'm going to be here all the day. God said so. But give me guarantee, just like Gideon. Give me guarantee. Give me a tracking number. Let me be tracking. Let me know when it's going to come. But God is saying you're not going to know, because when you know, you're going to let down your guards. You're not going to be believing anymore. So the need is a specific, work of refining that's required for every individual soul. What is the need for you today? What's the need? And why would God allow things to come? What is the need? What is your need? Okay, that's what I'm supposed to say. What is your need? Is it your need to be humble? Is it your need to be more prayerful? Is it your need to be more generous? Is it your need to be more? Well, if there's a need, then God will do something because of that need so that you can become, the art of becoming. And that is the necessity of the furnace that you and I go through. When you ask, why do we go through trial? This is the reason why we go through trial. That acknowledges that trials causes grief. It is true. Trials causes heaviness. It is true. But the refining is not painless. When you are refining gold, it's not painless. It go through grief. So the various trials that you and I go through, that we face every day, they are actually perfectly matched to the multicolored grace that God provides for all of us. So God matches your need to your trial. God matches your need. It's like somebody who needs to lose weight. They must come to you, you can't eat this. You say, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that. But I love it. I know you love it, but you can't eat this. You have to exercise. You have to do this, whatever there. That is the need. Your need will match it. If it's a health need, will match it. You need medication, but I hate injection. That is the need that you have. So we must understand that the fire is not an enemy of our faith. That fire will go through. This is a very difficult concept to even begin to wrap around, because I don't want the fire. I don't want the pain. Like Jesus Christ, I don't want the cross, but I just want the glory. So the fire is not an enemy of my faith or faith, but it's actually the servant of our purity. The trials I go through serves my purity, is to make me become pure. And this is where I try to bring everything together. You have to internalize it. And if you will, join me in saying, I am not being punished. But that's what we feel sometimes. I am not being punished. I am being purified. The heat that I feel like at this time is the hand of the goldsmith in my life. The goldsmith is removing what no longer serves my destiny. I am not being punished. I am being purified. The heat that I feel is the hand of the goldsmith removing what no longer serves my destiny. God wants to take away anything that will stop you from getting to where He wants you to. So how do you begin to practice this? I would like to encourage all of us today, maybe sometime this week, to list 3 current pressures in your life right now. What are the pressures in your life? It could be financial pressure, relational pressure, marital pressure, all kinds of pressure. List them. They could be anything, all kinds of pressure. It could be stress of any kind. Now, instead of praying for, and this is where it gets really, really challenging. Instead of you or me praying for, let's say their immediate removal, God, take away this cross from me. I want all of us to begin to ask God, what impurity is this bringing to the surface for me to surrender? This trial I'm going through, this loss, this grief. Father, I'm not asking you to take it away. Let your will be done. In other words, what impurity are you trying to bring to the surface so that I can surrender and become a better person? There's a scripture in Isaiah chapter 48, verse 10 that says, behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tried you in the furnace of affliction. Isaiah 48, verse 10. God is saying, I have tried you. Say, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tried you in the furnace of affliction. Many times, affliction helps us to recalibrate. So, but what is the value of this test? What's the value? Why would God be doing it? Okay, so what should I learn? It is all about faith over gold. God wants us to focus on faith and not the gold. So that's why Peter begins to make this stunning comparison that we read. He said, your faith, which is much more precious than gold, which perishes even though it goes to fire. That means your faith is better. Don't focus on gold, focus on your faith. Because gold, one day it will go. Even though gold that is purified by fire, your faith is worth more than gold. So gold is a standard of earthly value. In fact, the American dollar was based on gold until the Second World War, which is the 419 they did to all of us. In the world, the standard of currency is gold. So a country acquires gold. That's what they use in trading. When they began to do paper money, what they will do is that they will print paper money only to the amount of gold they have in their reserve. So that paper money, right? So rather than us carrying gold around, so they will now print paper money and equate. That's what they call the gold standard. It was during the Second World War, America just started printing, and they began to enjoy it. They began to enjoy it. So that's why their money is used all over the world. It's no longer to the standard of gold that that they have, which is 419, if you ask me. So unfortunately, America stores their reserve in gold. Nigeria stores their reserve in paper. Isn't that very, very funny? In dollar, paper money. So gold is the standard of earthly value. But but tested faith, your own faith, is the currency of heaven. On earth, gold might be the standard that whatever. But for you to go to heaven, your currency, to transactional thing, your currency is your faith. So the trials that you and I will go through, it proves that our faith isn't just a kind of fair weather, philosophy like, whatever is good, everything like Pentecostals preach, God is here to make life easy for you, nothing will happen to you. But it's deeper, it has a deeper root in our reality that we find. So when I consider all of these things, wow. So the currency of heaven is my faith. Bible says, without faith, you cannot please God. On earth, without money, you cannot buy anything. So I said to myself, my faith is my most valuable asset. Now, so you have to keep your faith. Keep the faith. My faith is my most valuable asset. I will value the testing of my faith more than I value the comfort of my circumstance. A lot of time we like the circumstance, but we don't want to give up our faith, or we don't want to grow in our faith. For you to grow your faith, then you have to pass through things that will make you grow your faith. It's like for you to get paid, you have to work. So I want all of us to look back at whatever trial that you have survived, let's say in the past 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, any trial that you have survived in the past. Then ask yourself, what gold, let's say gold, what gold, when I say gold, I mean character, I mean wisdom, I mean strength. So what gold did you come out with that you didn't have before that fire? I'll tell you, man, so some of the fires I've gone through in the past 1 year have made me much more introspective, have made me much more focused. And listen, I will not trade it for anything. Even though it was tough, but it has made me to be much more focused. And that is what that does. I'm encouraged by the book of Job, chapter 23, verse 10. The Bible said, but he knows the way that I take. He knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, Job said, when he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. God knows where I'm heading. God knows where you're heading. When he tests you, just like Job said, when he has tested me, then I'm going to come forth as gold. And that is where the glory is now revealed. You see, we've come from what the knowing, this is what God knowing, then the being, what God wants to, then the becoming. That is when you now come out. So knowing, doing, and becoming. That is what I taught in School of Mission. I have this group of students from US to Nigeria to India. We call it the Record Connect. School of Mission people, every 2 weeks we get together. So this is my own group of 70 people. And that was what I taught them yesterday. The act of becoming, the ecosystem of knowing, doing, and being. Knowing, doing, and being. Knowing, doing, and being. So the goal of refinement, what's the goal? Is so you can praise God. Praise, glory, and honor, and revelation of Jesus Christ. When Christ, we're going to say, it was worth it. So the goldsmiths, don't just keep gold in fire forever. So that should encourage you. No goldsmith keeps gold in fire forever. He has a specific moment of reflection in his mind. There's a time. So in other words, no condition is permanent. God will take you out when the time has come. So we are becoming, as the impurities have been taken out, we are becoming. What are we becoming? We are becoming a reflection of the Master. We are becoming a reflection of Jesus. And the end of this, our refinement that we are going through, is when we now have a shared glory with him. He wants us to become just like him. All right. And that encourages me, and I affirm it. I take it. I like that one. So I tell myself there is a reveal that is coming. You know how they are doing a movie, and I give you a thriller. The last thriller I saw was this Michael Jackson biography that they are doing. Anytime you see the whatever, it wants you to want to watch more. So there is this reveal that that is coming. The scars of my refining will become the stars of my rejoicing when I see him face to face. God is going to turn all my scars into stars, because God is showing me, the movie clip of what's going to happen. When the whole movie is revealed, I will not say, yes, it was worth it. It was worth every single thing. So for us to practice this, I want us to begin to live like to be conscious of what is going on. It's called reflective living. Don't just live. Don't just go through life. Pause to ask, what is this thing teaching me? Today, when you react to stress, ask yourself, when stress comes or something negative, and you react, not to respond. We're supposed to be responding, not reacting. When you react today to stress, or should I say, if you react to stress, ask yourself, whose reflection is visible right now? When you quarrel with somebody, when you hate, when you do something, ask yourself, so whose reflection is visible right now? Is it my reflection, or is it reflection of Jesus Christ? I want you to use the book of James chapter 1 verse 12 to encourage you for that. He said, blessed is the one who perseveres under trials. Blessed. Blessed means fortunate. You are privileged. So you are privileged. Privileged is a person who perseveres under trial. Why? Because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. That is what the Bible says in the book of James chapter 1 verse, verse 12. Our time is really past, and I wish I could go on. The call to action today is for us to pray through Psalm 139 today. Pray through. I'm sure some of you have seen me do that before. How to pray through using the Bible passage. So Psalm 139 is not very long, but you can use it as a prayer. Turn it into your own words. So I want you to be brave enough to invite the goldsmith into the secret place of your heart. Invite the goldsmith into your heart. If you invite him, there's going to be pressure. There's going to be heat. Then ask God to search you. That's what I say. My Lord, you see me, you know me. I mean, you're going to see it when I read the Psalms. Try me, test me. You know my heart. You see, if there's anything, remove them. Refine me for your glory. Do not fear the fire, brothers and sisters. Fear the life that remains unrefined. The life of mediocrity. That's what you fear. Any life that is not worth living at all. So the heat is high. Why is it high? The heat is high because the value is great. You are much more valuable than gold. And that's why we turn the heat up. And sometime today, please make our time to read Malachi chapter 3, verse 2 to 4. That is the prophecy of the messenger who sits as the refiner and the purifier of silver. That is where I would like to stop today. This is a very important passage. It speaks to me, and I'm sure it has spoken to you. And on this note, we are going to see if we can get any feedback. Do you have a feedback? Has this thing spoken to you? Did it hit you in a good way? The first time I read it, it hit me in a bad way, actually. I was like, no, God, I don't want this. But after thinking about it, and that's why I'm able to share all that I'm sharing. How has it how did it speak to you this morning? So you might want to raise up your hand to share. We just have a few more minutes, 30 seconds if you can. I'm looking out right now for whoever would like to share.